Hey guys, welcome to a new video of mine. This is going to be a very advanced guide to my main champion Camille. Also, what you're looking at right now is my stream, and if you've never seen me before, I'm a challenger Camille player, so if you want to go and check me out, the link is in the description below. Enjoy the video. Before we start, I'll show off what we're going to be talking and learning today. I will be putting everything in the description below with the timestamp, so if you want to skip, just scroll down below. Starting off with the pros and the cons, Camille has probably one of the best scaling of the entire game, if not one of the best. The reason for that being is because she can split push and take down towers really fast, and also become a tank while doing an insane amount of damage because of the true damage, which is making her a really great tank. Depending on the game, you will be building split pushing item build or a tanky item build, but we will be talking about this later on in the video. Now the last thing is that Camille can destroy tanks really easily because of her main source damage being true damage. So no matter how much armor the enemy team is going to build, you will just go through that. And that's why she is a really good champion for scaling, especially against tanks, because if you're split pushing, it doesn't matter how much armor they're going to build, you're just going to destroy them within seconds. Now let's talk a little bit about the cons. The first thing I don't really like about Camille at all is the fact that she has a really terrible early game, because most of the matchup that she plays are really bad against her. There's just lots of champions in the current meta which just is better than Camille. So most of the time you will be farming and you're not going to go for too many risky plays. So remember that Camille is really good scaling, so you don't necessarily have to go for good plays. Just play with the jungler and stuff and don't risk too much, because once Camille gets behind, you're gonna be in a bad spot. Now the second thing I don't like about Camille at all is the fact that she has bad wave clear, because if you don't have the Tiamat, there's just no way that you're going to be pushing a wave really fast. It's going to take you a while. So my recommendation, if you're going to play the champion, make sure that you buy Tiamat as soon as possible in the early game. Now the third thing is that she is really mana hungry, and you will notice that after you play the champion a few times, if you go for a trade early game, like 2 trades is enough to get you from 100% mana to 0. My recommendation is don't trade too much with your full combo, because that's just not going to work unless you know that you're going to grab a kill. So save up most of your mana for when you get a gank or when you want to have sustain, because your W is really strong and it gives you like lots of sustain. So let's move to the runes. These are the runes I use right now. It's probably one of the best runes I could find. I've been really trying like a lot of things, and by far this is just the one which has been working the best for me. If there's going to be buffs or nerfs or updates to the runes, I'll let you guys know and bring out an update to the video. This is the skill order I use with Camille all the time. It's a little bit different from what other Camille players are using most of the time. Basically, I put 3 points into my E at level 3, 4, and 5, allowing me to use my E more often, having lower cooldown reduction, and be trading a lot more often. If you also think you got the confidence to win level 1, you can start with Q instead of W, but if not, just start with W because that's the best choice you got. For starter items, it really depends on what you're playing against. If you're playing as a champion with lots of poke, you might want to start off with Dorn Shield. If you think you're going for an all-in at level 6 and you don't get poked a lot, you can even go for Dorn Blade. And if you really want to, you could even build 2 of those whenever you do your first back. But you can also do, if your matchup is really easy to play, you can start off with Longsword or you can start off with the Corrupting Potion. Personally, I don't really like the Corrupting Potion. I don't really use it at all, even though it is really good on Camille. I always prefer going for Dorn Blade instead. This is the build I always go for when I start split pushing with Camille. You're not going to be very tanky at all with the build, but this build will basically allow you to become a god in 1v1s, as well as taking down towers really fast. And here's the build that I always use if I have to become a tank for the team, as well as a person that has to engage. You don't necessarily need to go for Deadman's Plate, you can also go for Randuin's Omen. And then here's a few situational items which you can build whenever you need them. Randuin's Omen is really good if you're playing as a champion with loads of crit, or if you're playing as a Yasuo. Thormal's really good if the enemy team is full AD. And for the Hydra, if you like the one more than the other one, you can just build it right away. Both are fine, but I prefer the Ravenous Hydra. In the laning phase, I always play very safe depending on the matchup. If I have a really good matchup, I always play very aggressive. If I have a really bad matchup, which is nearly most of the time, I always play very safe early game. What I always focus on is farming the most, because Camille once again is a very good scaling champion, so prioritize that. Also, after level 6 you should really consider looking for roams as well as asking your jungler for ganks, because your level 6 is so great because your ultimate can lock down people, basically giving you a guaranteed first kill of the game. So after level 6, always ask your jungler for a gank, because this will sure pay off. To decide how you have to play in the mid-late game with Camille, you have to look at what the enemy team comp is and what your team comp is. If your team comp doesn't really have any tanks at all or any engagement, and the enemy team is just better in overall in team fights, you want to be split pushing the most, so you're going to take the split pushing item build, and you're going to try to pressure the bottom and the top side the most. If your teleport is up, you want to be going bot side if your team needs to go and take the Baron or push top lane. Same for the opposite way around. If your teleport is not up, obviously you don't want to be split pushing, you just want to be waiting until your teleport comes back up, and then you want to continue split pushing. But before that, just stay with the team. Now, what if you have to become the tank or the front line of the team? What you want to be looking at is you can engage for your team and try and set up a fight. But the second thing you could also do, you can have a primary target to assassinate. So before the team fight actually happens, you're going to take a look at who is the most fed of the enemy team. Is it their ADC player or is it their APC player? Depending on who's fed, you're going to try to engage on that person in the team fight, and you're going to try to take him down before you die. Remember that Camille is very tanky and has lots of damage. You can easily take down a squishy target with no problems at all. Now, the third thing you can do in team fights, if you don't want to engage or if you don't want to assassinate a person, what you can also do, if your ADC or APC is really fat or really strong, you can try to peel or just like protect your ADC or APC as much as possible. Camille is a perfect champion to protect others, so use that wisely.